Yo, so today we're going to be discovering if Serum is worth it or not. Alright, so just like the previous two videos, we're going to be using my super scientific chart, which has 5 categories. Each category gets a point total out of 10, and then those totals get multiplied by 2 for a score out of 100. So the 5 categories are functionality, sound selection, sound design, features, and then price. And then after we go over all that, we're going to get into some alternatives and like my favorite sounds and stuff from the VST, which is Serum. Alright, so the first category is functionality, which I gave a 9 out of 10. So overall, the interface is really nice. It's simple, it's clean, it's easy to get around. It functions very nicely. And the browsing feature, which is these 4 little squares at the top, which not a lot of people know, it's okay. It's the only reason it got a -1 out of the 10, just because there's a couple things. I don't really like VSTs that like you can't click through and immediately hear the sound. I think that's super useful and kind of speeds up workflow, but it's not that big of a deal, so I didn't give it like a -5 or anything crazy, just a -1 because it's a little bit inconvenient, but you still can search for stuff and it is pretty effective, like narrowing down your results that way if you have a ton of banks. Yeah, so overall it gets a 9 out of 10, which is a pretty good score. Next category is sound selection, which is broken down into 3 subcategories: variety and quality, which deal only with stock sounds, and then aftermarket, what kind of banks can you purchase after you actually get the VST. So for the first subcategory, variety, I gave it a 10 out of 10. With Serum, you get a bass pack, a hard bass pack, which is like harder, more aggressive kind of basses, leads, pads, plucks, sequencers, and then pads. So with those little like mini bank kind of things, you do get a lot of variety, so that's why it gets a 10 out of 10. And also for variety, you kind of got to think about it's a synth-based plugin, so there's not going to be any like pianos or stuff like that, so you don't have to factor that stuff in. So within synths, there is a lot of variety. So the next one is quality, which I gave an 8 out of 10. Pretty much all the stock sounds are usable, but I feel like they're more geared towards like more aggressive like dubstep kind of stuff, or like harder EDM, not really like soft melodic hyperpop like the stuff that I like to make. So it gets a little bit a knock on the points for that. And then some of the sounds are just straight up, I don't like them at all. It's very hard to tweak some of them, but a bunch of them you can do little tweaks here and there, and then you'll have a very usable and good sound. But I think where Serum really shines is the aftermarket banks. I have a whole video just talking about the banks, but there is a ton of banks. So just to like list a couple off my head, Space Coupe has 2 banks. One of them's with Shark, the Skywalker and Display bank. Noah has the Omega bank, which is free. Sunboy has the most amazing Quadra bank, and then also the Hypnosis bank. And then Synthetic has a ton of banks, and those are just like the ones that I really like to use. And then again, there's some more EDM like centered dubstep kind of banks. They have a bunch of Cymatics banks and Splice banks that are kind of more focused in that area, but there's still a ton of great sounds you can use in that. So yeah, for aftermarket, it gets a 10 out of 10, ton of options. And I'd say on average, the banks will run you about 25 to 40 bucks at maximum. It all kind of depends on like if it's in a bundle or not. Like I know some people do where you get like a Serum bank one shots that are the same thing, and then like midis and some loops made with those sounds, and that just kind of ups the price a little bit, but overall those banks are usually pretty worth it. All right, so the next category is sound design, which I gave it a 10 out of 10. Right now it's my favorite VST to like make my own sounds in. I said this before, but I'm kind of working on a Serum bank that'll come out in a couple months. Really excited for that to come out. But yeah, overall, the thing that I like about it the most, it is so visual, and that just helps me a lot. You can like see what you're tweaking and stuff. So like if I go here and turn up the unison, you can see what it's doing. That like just little stuff like that really helps me like visualize like the sound that I'm actually making. It's really easy. And overall, I think this will kind of tie into the next category, but you have a sub oscillator, a noise oscillator, 2 just like normal oscillators, filter, 3 envelopes, 4 LFOs, and velocity and note controls, which I haven't really played around with too much, but as you can see, like I keep mentioning, very visual, very easy to learn on. Then we have all of these effects, and it's pretty much just the normal basic stuff, like reverb, delay, flanger, stuff like that. And then there's the matrix. So I filmed this video multiple times, but if you were to drag, let's just say LFO2 onto the volume, just for an example. So now this is controlling the volume. So if I like play a note, it'll go like that. But over in the matrix, you can kind of tweak it a little bit more, which is really helpful. So overall for sound design, it gets a 10 out of 10. I think it's one of the best, if not the best, things to learn sound design on, and then go and apply like the things you learn here into something like Omnisphere to get more like ambient realistic sounds. So yeah, the next category is features, which I gave a 7 out of 7. All of the basic features are there, like I mentioned in the sound design section. 2 oscillators, all that stuff, all the effects are in there. The only reason it got docked points is because there's no arpeggiator feature, which I guess it doesn't really need, but I always think it would be nice. Like, the more features you have, the better. But yeah, there's really not much to talk about. Overall, I don't think there's any like Serum specific features besides like wavetables. I'm pretty sure it's like a Serum thing. Like, there's other plugins that do it, but that's like one of Serum's like main selling points, I guess. So the last category is price, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's $190, and I think that's right in the sweet spot for what you want to spend on a VST. I feel like from $100 to $200, you really know that you're getting quality, and it's somewhat affordable compared to something like Contact, where you're going to spend maybe even thousands on banks or stuff, or something like Omnisphere that's $500, which is a lot more expensive, and you might have to save up for a longer time. So I think this is a great starter VST for the price. If you already have some more realistic stuff, like the Gentleman from Contact, which is free, just so you can have diversity and not just strictly make synth style melodies. So overall, the total score is the highest on our list so far. It is a 86.6, which is about 10 higher than Omnisphere, which was the last highest one. But overall, in my personal opinion, yes, Serum is worth it. It's super easy to sound design on. All these points that I brought up throughout the video kind of apply to this section too. But just all this stuff, and then the banks just kind of push it over the edge. And it's all generally pretty affordable. So yeah, I would definitely pick this up if you do not have it already. And I believe you can get like a rent version where you like pay monthly, like how Arcade is, and then eventually you'll pay it off and it'll be yours completely. So you could look at doing that too. So now for the alternatives to Serum, I think the best one right now is Vital. It's free. It is really good. It's basically pretty much the same thing as Serum. 3 envelopes, 4 LFOs, 3 oscillators, a noise oscillator, 2 filters, and I've seen crazy presets made on this. So this is another one that if you're looking to get into sound design, it's definitely very visual and easy to learn on and stuff like that. I believe it comes with about 90 presets in like a bunch of different styles, but yeah, it's free. And then I think, I'm not really sure on this, but you can pay like $5 a month and you'll get like monthly presets to you. Not really sure about that, but overall, like the start of it is free and there's no like 20-minute limit on it or anything. And then last thing, my favorite presets from like the stock Serum sounds. There's one called the D pluck. I'm pretty sure I really like. The totem pluck is pretty cool. I haven't really tried out the stock pads much. Some of the leads are really cool, but again, they're kind of aggressive, more geared towards like non-melodic kind of stuff. But the hypersaw is really good. I've used that in a bunch of my melodies. I forget what the other one is called. And then there's the hypersaw basic and layered synth. Those are also really good. So there is a couple stock presets that I do use kind of regularly. But then overall, best banks to get. I have a whole video on that. Go check it out. Definitely going to make an updated version in about a month or two. Probably wait like 6 months just so like more banks come out and I can differentiate the lists. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed and can make a more informed decision on whether you're going to purchase Serum or not. I think you should, but it's up to you. But yeah, thank you for watching. Here is a random beat that I made.